What's up, comrades? Nightwolf here, and welcome to Wolf's Comic Talk, where we talk about comics. A lot. And that seems to be the bulk of what I've been doing lately. So, here we go with another one. Superheroes. What do they mean to me? That's a question that I've been thinking about a lot lately, with the decent. I can't even talk today. The recent things that have happened at Marvel and with what's going on in DC, because Rebirth is awesome. By the way, you guys should probably go check that out. If you're fans of superheroes and comics, I highly recommend Rebirth right now, because I've read 2 issues. They are fantastic. But anyway, what does a superhero mean to me? Now, obviously, when you have role models and whatnot, you want role models that are real. You know, I have my real life role models as well as the fictional ones, because I do look up to superheroes for inspiration, for multiple other reasons, because they make me feel better, or they help me get out of a funk, or make me say, yeah, maybe I can help the world a bit more, maybe I can make a difference more, maybe I could help somebody who's in need, things of that nature. And I've always tried to be a helpful person. And I think that superhero-related content has helped me grow in that regard to some extent. Although good parenting and whatnot also helped with that. But it definitely doesn't hurt to have it a little bit here and there of fictional characters to look up to. Not like crazy and religiously, but, enough to say, yeah, that was a good story. I learned something from it. But with the current situation that I find myself in, and other fans have found themselves in, it's really hard. Especially if you're a diehard Marvel fan like I am. I mean, I grew up through the 80s and the 90s, and one of my favorite things to do in the 90s was watch all the superhero TV shows that were out. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, all those shows. Spider-Man being my favorite one at the time when it came out. Batman being a close second, because Batman had lots of really cool imagery. But Spider-Man was my favorite because, with great power comes great responsibility and other assorted things like that. And I really, really loved it. And the state of comics is not in a good place for me right now, especially not on the Marvel side. DC has sort of risen me out of my slump, so to speak, because they're actually going back and understanding what, hope means and what superheroes in general are supposed to be, not just, angsty, angry teenage characters, which is what they were doing with the New 52 a lot. I'm sure they had their fun moments too, but it was a mixed bag with the 52, and a lot of people didn't like it. That's the reason why sales fell for a lot of books. But I'm going to go through a lot of stuff. This might go off tangent sometimes. I might rant. But just know that the reason why I get heated about certain issues in comic books and whatnot, especially with Marvel and whatnot, is because of the influence that it had over me over several years. How much I love the characters. How much I watch the shows. And it sucks to see all that being either brushed aside for political gains or just ignored for the sake of creating shock value, which comics do all the time, but sometimes it depends on how it's handled. Marvel doesn't handle it well, and they haven't handled it well for, I would say, probably about 5 years. They don't want to interact with the audience the same way that they do. Yeah, sure, you can tweet and talk to creators and whatnot, but we're talking about interacting with the actual company itself. I'm not asking them to, I don't want to sound like I'm coming off as an entitled person. Obviously, I can't, make decisions for every single book in the world, and I can't just say this is how it should be indefinitely without any problems or hiccups. I know that story and whatnot is important. It's just that they've missed the point of some of their most basic and key characters. They've missed the mark, so to speak. So, the reason why superheroes meant a lot to me is I went through a lot of crap, like many other people do. Everyone goes through tough times. No exception. I went through some tough times, losing family members. My best friend moved away when I was in 6th grade, which was very sad. He was my protector. Not to mention my dad passing didn't help. And then I was alone at school a lot. I didn't have a lot of friends, like many other kids who were either popular or just had friends. And I was picked on a lot. But superheroes allowed me to, escape my everyday life and allow me to see heroes of many forms and shapes. Of course, to be honest, my first heroes weren't even really superheroes. My first hero was the one that my dad introduced me to, was John Wayne, and all the heroics he did in a lot of his movies and whatnot. So, I don't know, it's one of those things where the point of what a hero is or what a superhero is has been muddled to the point where almost nobody in any format of fiction or media even understands it. Sometimes they get it. Sometimes. But the two biggest companies, well, DC for a while missed the mark pretty badly. Now Marvel, they're completely in their own little planet. They're in their own little bubble and echo chamber, spouting off bullshit rhetoric and pissing off their fans. Sorry, that was really mean. But it bothers me. It bothers me to see my heroes being dragged in the mud. Characters that I've loved for a long time being belittled by stupid dialogue that makes no sense. It has no business in comic books in general. It's one of the sickest things to me. I don't really have words. I mean, earlier this week, I got hit again. I mean, it was one thing with Captain America. I'm not the biggest Cap fan. I'll be free to admit it, but I do like the character, and he stands for a lot of things. Mainly being the symbol that the Avengers rally behind, and things of that nature. That bothers me, to an extent, the heel turn, but I know it's going to be rectified fairly soon. It's not... The problem was just mainly that the story was utter garbage with how the Red Skull and just in general, the way that the book was written was disgusting to me. It bothers me. But Mockingbird. One of my favorite female superheroes in Marvel. Well, in a sense. Because basically she's a different variation on Black Widow. She's a S.H.I.E.L.D. spy agent and things like that. But I've always liked her because, I found out that her and Hawkeye were married at one point, and I was like, well, Hawkeye's a really cool character. I really like Hawkeye. Maybe I should look into her. And I even got to read a book with both of the characters together, and I really liked it. And in general, I think Mockingbird is a cool character. I thought, oh, she's getting her own comic book, probably from her popularity in the TV show. Cool. That's not too bad. I probably won't buy it, but maybe when it comes out in trade, it would be interesting to read. But now I don't even want it. Finding out that it's full of social justice propaganda, another bullcrap, seeing her say, oh, it's a boys' club. No women are allowed. And in the picture, it's showing characters like the Human Torch, the X-Men, and Avengers. All teams in which have female characters. And a fair amount of them. And it sickens me. I'm very, very upset about it, if you couldn't tell. To belittle her character of that magnitude, oh my god, it's so annoying. I know that there are a lot of people out there who, they like some of these stories and whatnot, even though it goes against the entire character and whatnot. It's not that I want these particular people who just accept it or tolerate this type of crap. They don't call Marvel out. They don't say anything negative. They're just like very passive about it. They're accepting of it. Some of them have exceedingly large YouTube channels or bigger channels than myself, and many others who don't like some of these changes or they have a tough time handling them. It's really hard. We're in this... The reality is, guys, that, and this is directed toward the companies and to a lesser extent these fans who think they know what's best. Now, I'm not saying that I know what's best entirely. I just know what I like and I know what I don't like. But here's the thing. The fans that both Marvel and DC, well, DC's sort of coming back. I have faith in them. But Marvel abandoned are between the ages of 40 and 30. Myself, am 32. Just FYI. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm not saying that younger people can't read the books, because more than likely some of them do. And that's great. We're getting new comic book fans. But some of them, if not a good majority of them, are incredibly tolerant of everything. They're just like, oh no, this is a great story. Just read it. You'll love it to death. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't love it. Marvel is sacrificing storytelling to push an agenda. This isn't appropriate. It isn't right. It's angering. It's frustrating. It's why I've boycotted buying any of the Marvel books. I'm just sick of seeing it all the damn time. And I think I'm fair in that. I don't want to see it. I want to see good storytellers, clever writers, who know what they're doing and understand what the audience is looking for. You know, it's kind of funny. There was the one person who, sent me all the messages saying, oh, the sales of the books are fine. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, really? Really? Then tell me this. Random anonymous person who shall not be named on my channel because I don't want to spread hate to them. Here's my particular question. Then why is it on Bleeding Cool's website, which I will try and find this article and I will leave it down in the description if I can find it. There's an article where comic book shops are struggling to sell Marvel books. Now I know there's a digital side and whatnot. Those count as sales as well, at least directly to the company. But the comic book stores, which is where I go to get my books, I like that particular element. I like being in the store because I get to meet other fans and whatnot. I actually get to interact with them on a personal level, which is awesome. And you want to know what I found out? In some of the bigger shops in New York City, which has some of the biggest comic shops that you can find, they're barely buying double digits of comic books. So when you go to a website like Comicron and you look at the sales of certain books and whatnot, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, wow, they sold over 200,000 units of The Amazing Spider-Man. Sounds really good, doesn't it? That number sounds fantastic. And you'd normally be right. It is a fantastic number. Except for that doesn't count for sales at the store itself. We're talking about, in general, how many the distributors handed over to them. That they ordered. That doesn't equate all to sales of every single book. Now, it does equate to anybody who, like, if this comic store has, like, a box system where, people order books and then they come in and pick them up, like I do. That doesn't count. It counts for part of them if they go and they actually go out and pay for their books, but it does not count for the books that stay on the shelf. Do you see what I'm getting at? If comic book stores seeing a steady decline because in the article, the readers are uninterested. There are guys between my age and older that they're interested in storytelling. And the companies aren't telling the stories that they either grew up with or the stories that they want to see. Good stories. Without the propaganda. Without stupid plots that make everybody enraged. It's not what they want to see. They don't want to see their favorite characters die all the time for shock value, which does happen a lot in comics. Especially in more current generations. It happens way too often. I'm just saying that your argument has some point to an extent for some people. Some of these people who do this argument, they do have some points. But they're not 100%. And of course, then there's some of the fans that like to yell at everybody who doesn't go out and buy the book or read the book. It's like, oh, you just hate it because you didn't read it. Shut up. Just could you please be quiet? Technically, yes. In order to formulate a full final thought on the book, it would help to read it. Obviously. But if you don't like the idea, if you don't like the premise, you shouldn't have to buy it. If you think that it's a dumb idea or you hate it, you should be allowed to think that. Well, maybe not hate it, but dislike it, or you don't want to read it because it sounds stupid. That should be completely okay. And if they have valid criticism of the reasons why they don't like the story, or why they think it's going to be bad, that should be okay. To some extent, anyway. If you have valid reasons why you enjoy the book, other than the fact that it's something that you like for whatever reason, even though it's narratively a mess or something, I don't know. To be completely honest, I can't read people's minds like Professor X. It's just not something I can do, unfortunately. I don't know what I'm doing. But, it's just something that really is disturbing and bothersome, I guess. Reviewers who pretty much just kowtow to companies, to Marvel. They don't give valid criticism. They just continue to say, yeah, this is a great book. It's an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Even if they don't like it, or if they think that the story is getting bland and boring, they continue doing it. I don't understand. At all. I guess the main point that I would like to make, or that I would like to direct towards some of these individuals, is that heroes, at the end of the day, should inspire you to be better and to fight for what you believe is right. That is the entire point of what superheroes are, in a sense, supposed to help you do. They're supposed to inspire you. You're supposed to look up to them and say, they're cool. They're good people. They're trying to help the world in some way. That's not always true for every hero, but you should find something in them that resonates with you. And that's what always happens. When you read fictional stories and whatnot, you gravitate towards certain characters because you like them. Maybe they're very believable, very realistic to some extent, even though they have fantastic adventures. Spider-Man was relatable because he's your everyday normal person, had a 9-to-5 job, had dating problems, family problems, all this normal stuff that everybody deals with. And at the same time, he's fighting bad guys like Doc Ock and whatnot. Good stories. I'm looking for good stories. That's all I want. I don't want propaganda. I don't want plot lines that make the characters completely different and against their core concepts of who they are. Don't like it. Bugs me. I think I'm going to do something. I'm going to do two things. There are two particular quotes that I like in forms of superhero-related content. One is from Aunt May in the Spider-Man 2 movie. You know the quote where she says she believes there's a hero in all of us. You know, someone who's noble, who does the right thing, who sacrifices everything, even if it's something that they really want. That's what heroes are supposed to do. You know, that's what writers should be focusing more heavily on, especially at Marvel. And I don't want to target Marvel. I don't want to hate Marvel. I grew up with Marvel. I still like the older books and the older stories. I'm just disappointed. There's nothing more I can do than, you know, share my feelings and thoughts all the time on what's happening and the state that they're leaving it in. So, basically, I'm going to do this. And I'm urging all you guys to do the same thing. I'm going to leave this quote from Captain America. Yeah, it's from Civil War, the original Civil War storyline. And it was something that he told to Spider-Man. So basically, I'm going to end it with the bottom part of the quote, where it literally says, when everybody's against you, all the mobs and everyone says that you have to move, you stand like a tree next to the river of truth, and you plant your roots firmly, and you say no. You move. I love that quote a lot. It means a lot to me. And surprisingly, it comes from Captain America, who apparently is a Hydra agent and has been this whole time. That's just great. Thanks, Cap. I'm kidding, actually. I'm not going to buy for 1 second he's a Hydra agent. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a comment to let me know what you think. This is kind of taking it to a slightly more personal level. It's probably not going to be nearly as comedic as some of my other videos are, if you can even consider it comedy. Take it as you will. But this was very important to me, and I had to let this out. But, you know, share this video with any comic book fans you know, any people that you... Maybe you have a disagreement with other comic book fans who tell you to shut up or whatnot. You can use this video, maybe. Maybe this video can help them to change their mind. I don't know. I doubt it. But I'm going to use this video as a reminder to myself that I'm not budging from anybody saying that I'm 100% wrong, or that I don't have any common sense, or that I'm an idiot. I'm not going to let people who are more higher educated than me treat me like dirt, or think that they're more higher educated than me, tread me down, or say, you just don't get it. You haven't read the whole story. It's gonna be great. It's like, do you see the things that I see? Do you see the hypocrisy that Marvel has been predicating for years now? Until it changes, there's nothing more that I can do. I'm not going to support their comic book groups. If I buy any books, they're going to be older. If I buy trades, they're going to be used. Basically, at this point, I've boycotted Marvel Comics. And I think more should do the same. Once they see their sales figures and their books dropping like frickin' rocks, maybe they'll listen. DC did. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, have a good night. A good day. Raise your nerd flags high. And I'll see you next time. Nightwolf's out.